The rain wouldn't stop. It lashed against the glass walls of the mountain cabin, drowning out Anya Volkov's trembling whispers. "Please, Kellan, please pick up." Her voice cracked as she held her phone to her ear. Miles away in Geneva, Kellan's voice finally came through, rough and sleepy. "Anya. It's 3 a.m. What's wrong?" It's done," she said, her voice hollow. "He's here. Our son." Kellan's silence cut through the storm. "You mean, you had the baby? Already?" "Yes. Alone. He came early." She looked down at the tiny bundle in her arms, his chest rising and falling like the rhythm of fragile hope. Kellan's voice trembled. "My God, Anya. Where are you?" "The old Volkov cabin. I can't go to the hospital. Father's men will be watching. If they find out, then come here. I'll send someone." "I can't," she cried. "The inheritance ceremony is in 5 hours, Kellan. If Dimitri finds out I had a child, he'll destroy everything. V Corp, my name, and maybe even you." She hung up before he could respond. Anya pressed her lips to her baby's forehead. The scent of milk and rain mixed with her tears. "Leo. I'm so sorry," she whispered. "But I have to protect you. Even if it breaks me." Outside, thunder rolled like her father's voice in her head, "No weaknesses. No attachments." She locked the cabin door, stared at the sleeping infant, and whispered into the dim light, "Legacy or life, Anya. You can't have both." At dawn, the storm softened to a weeping drizzle. Anya dressed her son in a soft white blanket embroidered with gold initials, AV, and wrapped him in a hand-woven scarf Kellan had once bought from a market in Kenya. She placed a folded note beside him. Her handwriting shook with every word. "To whoever finds him, please love him as your own. His name is Leo. He is gentle, perfect, and innocent. Please, let him live free from the sins of his mother." The riverbank was silent except for the whisper of water and the faint cooing of the baby. Anya's heels sank into the wet earth as she kneeled beside the edge. "Forgive me," she said, her voice breaking. She laid Leo in a wicker basket, tucked the note inside, and pushed the basket toward the slow-moving current. But before it drifted, Leo's eyes fluttered open, deep, ocean blue, and he smiled. It was the first time she'd seen him truly awake. The small, innocent grin shattered her heart. Anya's trembling hand hovered over the basket. Maybe I can still." Her phone buzzed. A message from her father. "Dimitri Volkov, be at the estate by 9 o'clock. If you're late, forget your inheritance." Anya froze. A choice weighed heavier than gold, her son or her legacy. As her tears fell into the river, she let go of the basket. The current carried Leo away. She whispered through sobs, "Live, my love. Live, even without me." Miles downstream, under the dying moon, an old rusted loader coughed its last breath. "Damn this useless junk." Sergei slammed his fist against the steering wheel. His wife, Larissa, sat quietly beside him, eyes swollen from tears. "It's not the car, Sergei. It's you. You always push too far." "Oh, shut up," he barked. "Everything I touch turns to dust. No job, no money, and no child to carry my name. Maybe we are cursed." Larissa looked out the window. Beyond the broken road, the forest breathed in mist and mystery. Then, a sound. A faint whimper. Soft. Human. "Sergei, did you hear that?" He grunted. "Probably a dog. Or worse." She stepped out into the darkness, clutching her shawl. The sound grew clearer, a baby's cry, carried by the river wind. Her breath caught. "No, it can't be." Following the sound, she reached the bank and saw the basket caught in a tangle of reeds. Inside, an infant, wet but alive. "Oh, sweet heavens," she whispered, lifting him out. "A miracle." Behind her, Sergei's voice echoed sharply. "What the hell are you doing with that thing?" Larissa turned, tears streaming. "Saving him. He's not a thing, he's ours now." The moment Larissa held the child, a strange stillness fell. The rain stopped. The wind calmed. And behind them, Sergei's dead car sputtered, then roared back to life. Sergei froze. "What the, how?" Larissa smiled through tears. "Do you see? He's special, Sergei. A blessing." Sergei's eyes narrowed. "Or a curse. Maybe that's why someone threw him away." She pressed the baby to her chest protectively. "He's not a curse. He's a gift." "Gift?" Sergei snorted. "We can't even feed ourselves. Maybe he could be useful." Larissa frowned. "What do you mean?" He smirked. "Rich people lose babies all the time. You think someone won't pay handsomely to have one back?" Larissa's stomach turned. "You will not touch this child for money." Sergei's tone darkened. "Then maybe I'll toss him back where I found him." Larissa's heart stopped. "Don't you dare." He leaned closer, voice low and venomous. "Then you'll do as I say." He stays, but he's mine to decide what happens next. She nodded quietly, her body trembling. Inside, though, she vowed silently, "No one will harm this child. Not even you, Sergei." Back in the marble halls of the Volkov estate, Anya's reflection looked flawless, except for her eyes, hollow and red from hours of crying. She stepped into the boardroom. The table gleamed, surrounded by stern faces. At its head sat her father, Dmitry Volkov, a man carved from steel and pride. "You're late," he said coldly. "I apologize. There was traffic." He studied her, his gaze sharp as a blade. "You look pale." "Sick." "I'm fine," she lied. "Good," he said, turning to the board. "Then let's proceed. As of this morning, Anya Volkov assumes the role of CEO of V Corp International." Polite applause filled the room, but Anya barely heard it. Her phone vibrated, Kellan again. She silenced it. Minutes later, while the board dispersed, she slipped away to her office and answered his call. "Kellan, please don't." "Anya. I found someone who can help us track him. We can still find Leo before it's too late." Her chest tightened. "It is too late," she whispered. "He's gone." Silence. Then a broken voice, "You'll never forgive yourself for this." She hung up before the tears returned. Moments later, Dmitry appeared at the doorway, hands clasped behind his back. "There's something in your eyes, Anya," he said softly. "A shadow. I hope it's not a secret." She forced a smile. "Just exhaustion, father." He studied her for a moment longer, then nodded and walked away. The moment he left, Anya's composure shattered. She sank to her knees, whispering into the emptiness. "I gave up my son, for this." Outside, thunder rumbled again. The legacy had begun, but so had the lie. The village of Novarin had forgotten misery, or so it seemed. The once broken down larder now gleamed with new paint. Sergei had a steady job at the timber plant. And at the small wooden cottage behind the hill, little Leo ran barefoot through the grass, laughing, chasing butterflies. Larissa watched from the porch, hands folded over her apron, a tender smile softening her face. "Leo, slow down. You'll trip." He giggled. "Catch me, Mama." Sergei came out, wiping sweat from his forehead. He stared at the boy, his expression unreadable. Strange, isn't it? Since that brat showed up, everything turned around for us. Larissa frowned. He's a blessing, Sergey. You should thank God for him. Sergey took a swig of cheap vodka. Blessing? You mean luck charm? Don't pretend you don't see it. The car, the job, the money, it all started after we found him. Larissa's voice turned sharp. Don't call him it, Sergey. He sneered, his words slurring. You brought me fortune, you little rat, he muttered, glaring at Leo, but I still hate your guts. Leo froze, eyes wide. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. He ran to his mother, clinging to her dress. Larissa glared at Sergey. Enough. He's a child, our child. But deep down, she knew Sergey's resentment was growing like a storm that would one day break. Far away in Moscow, Anya Volkov sat in her penthouse office, her face cold as steel. 2 years as CEO had made her a legend in business, but a ghost in life. Her reflection in the glass showed success, but her heart was hollow. Dmitry entered quietly, older now, the weight of years pressing down. You've built an empire, Anya. You've done well, he said softly. Have I? She asked, eyes still fixed on the skyline. What's the point of power if you can't sleep at night? Dmitry hesitated. He had seen that look before, in her mother's eyes before she died. Anya, I was wrong, he said finally. When I told you love was weakness. When I said, no entanglements. I lost a child once, too, before you were born. Anya turned to him, stunned. What? He sighed. Your mother had a son before you. Stillborn. I buried that pain and taught you to bury yours. But it's poison, Anya. Legacy means nothing if it costs you your soul. For the first time in years, Dmitry's voice broke. I've hired someone, he continued, to find any child abandoned around the time he disappeared that night 2 years ago. Anya froze. Why would you? He raised a trembling hand. Because I saw the shadow in your eyes, Anya. And I think I know what it means. Outside, snow began to fall, soft, silent, and full of ghosts. The morning radio crackled in the Novarin market. Women sold yams and vegetables while the announcer's voice boomed. Breaking news, VCorp has announced a 50 million naira reward for information leading to the recovery of an abandoned infant left 2 years ago. The CEO, Anya Volkov, says the child is believed to have been taken by an unknown party. Anyone with knowledge is urged to contact the authorities immediately. Larissa's hands froze midair. Her grocery bag slipped from her grasp, tomatoes rolling across the dusty floor. 50 million. An abandoned infant. 2 years ago. Her heart pounded as she whispered, no, it can't be. She remembered the scarf, the fine fabric, the gold embroidery. No poor mother could have afforded that. She ran all the way home, tears streaming. The cottage door flew open. Sergey, she cried. You need to hear this. He turned, beer in hand. What now? The boy, the child we found. He belongs to the Volkovs. They're looking for him. Oh, Sergey, we must tell them. They'll reward us, and Leo will have his real life back. Sergey's eyes darkened with greed. Reward, you say? Larissa smiled weakly. That's not the point. It's the right thing to do. But Sergey wasn't listening anymore. His mind was racing, not with gratitude, but calculation. That night, the house felt like a battlefield. Leo slept soundly in his small bed, clutching a wooden toy, unaware of the war waging over him. Larissa stood by the window. We can't keep him, Sergey. He belongs to them. Sergei slammed his glass down. Belongs? He belongs to me. You think I'll just hand over the one thing that brought fortune into my life? You can't buy salvation with stolen blessings, she whispered. Salvation. He laughed bitterly. Dmitry Volkov ruined me once, refused me a loan when I begged for work. Now his precious daughter will pay. If they want him back, they'll pay me everything. Larissa stepped forward, trembling. You can't trade a child's life for revenge. He turned to her, eyes wild. You choose, me, your husband, or that boy. Because if you try to take him from me, he leaned close, breath reeking of alcohol. You won't live to see the dawn. Larissa backed away, her heart pounding. God will judge you, Sergei. Let him, he spat. I'll be rich by morning. But as she slipped into Leo's room and kissed his forehead, she made her own vow, before morning, I'll find a way to save you. Larissa spent the next day pretending everything was normal. She cooked, cleaned, even smiled. But her phone, hidden beneath the apron, recorded every slurred threat Sergei made. That evening, she stirred stew at the stove. Sergei hovered behind her, watching too closely. Smells good, he said. You're finally learning how to please your husband again. She forced a laugh. Maybe I'm trying to keep the peace. He smirked. You should. For your own good. As she turned to serve, he discreetly emptied a packet of fine white powder into her bowl. A toast, he said, lifting his spoon. To our fortune, and our son. Larissa ate quietly, unaware of the bitterness in her food. Her eyelids grew heavy. The room tilted. Sergei leaned closer, whispering, Don't worry, Larissa. You'll wake up in paradise. She tried to speak, but the world blurred. The last thing she heard was Leo's voice in the next room, soft, sleepy, innocent. Mama. Her spoon clattered to the floor. And as darkness closed in, Sergei smiled. Good night, my love. Sergei paced back and forth in the tiny kitchen, sweat glistening on his forehead. Larissa lay motionless on the floor, her hand still clutching the corner of the tablecloth. He muttered under his breath, I told you not to cross me. You brought this on yourself. A knock echoed through the house, sharp, impatient, demanding. Knock. 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 Sergei froze. Who's there? He barked. Galina, a shrill voice answered. You borrowed my pepper last week and now you pretend you can't hear me? Sergei's eyes widened. Of all nights, why now? Go away. But Galina, the nosy neighbor, was not the type to go away quietly. You think I'll leave? I smell stew. You're hiding something. She pushed the door open before he could stop her. Kellan, I said not now. She brushed past him. Your face looks guilty, Sergei. Like the time you stole my chicken. He tried to laugh it off. You're crazy. There's nothing here. But Galina's eyes darted toward the bedroom. Then why's the door locked? Before he could answer, she marched toward it. The handle turned. Don't, he yelled, but she shoved the door open. Kellan gasped. Sweet Mother of God. Larissa's skin was pale, her breath shallow. Kellan screamed, she's dying. Sergei, what have you done? Neighbors began to gather outside as her screams echoed through the night. Help. Somebody help. Sergei lunged at her. Stay out of this. But Kellan grabbed a nearby stool and swung it at him. Touch me and I'll bash your skull. Two men burst through the door, neighbors from next door, alarmed by the noise. They lifted Larissa's limp body. She's still breathing, one shouted. Quick, get the truck. As they carried her out, Kellan turned to Sergei, eyes blazing. I'll make you pay for this. I promise you, Sergei. You'll rot for what you've done. Leo stood in the corner, crying, clutching his wooden toy. Mama. Galina kneeled beside him, tears in her eyes. Don't cry, sweetheart. We'll take care of her. But as they drove off toward the clinic, Galina didn't see Sergei slip out the back door, his mind already twisting with his next move. It was past midnight when Sergei met two rough-looking men in a dark alley near the old sawmill. The moonlight caught their scarred faces and cold eyes. You said you have something valuable, one of them muttered. Sergei nodded, holding Leo tightly by the wrist. A boy. Blonde hair. Blue eyes. Someone out there's looking for him, he'll fetch a fortune. The man sneered. A fortune? He's a child, not gold. Sergei's confidence faltered. He's special. A rich family's son. The second man spat on the ground. We'll take him. 100,000 naira. Are you mad? He's worth millions. Sergei snapped. Take it or leave it. Sergei looked down at Leo. The boy's eyes, those deep blue eyes, stared back, full of confusion. Papa, he whispered. Sergei's throat tightened. But greed won. Fine, he said hoarsely. Take him. He shoved the child forward and snatched the wad of cash. As the man threw Leo into the back of a rusty truck, the boy screamed, Mommy. Mommy. The echo of his voice cut through the night like a curse. Sergei turned away, clutching the money. But as the truck disappeared into the fog, he suddenly felt colder than he'd ever been. Miles away, in the V Corp ancestral hall, the chief mystic knelt before a bowl of glowing embers. Dmitry Volkov sat across from him, anxious, aged, desperate. Tell me, Oleg, he said, his voice trembling. Is there hope? The mystic's eyes fluttered shut. The child is alive, he whispered. But surrounded by shadows. Anya, standing behind her father, gasped. You can see him. Oleg nodded slowly. Yes. He is near danger, but destiny protects him. He began to chant softly, the embers pulsing brighter. In a vision, he saw a cabin deep in the woods, a frightened boy in a corner, tears streaking his face. A shimmering light appeared beside him, a figure robed in white, with eyes like silver fire. The figure whispered to the trembling child, Your grandfather awaits. Walk now, little prince. In the vision, Leo rose to his feet, sleepwalking, the door of the trafficker's cabin creaking open as if pushed by invisible hands. Back in the hall, Oleg opened his eyes. He walks toward his destiny now. Anya's heart pounded. Father, what if it's true? What if he's... Dmitry stood abruptly. Then we'll be ready to receive him. It was 2 a.m. when the phone rang in Anya's penthouse. Come home. Now, Dmitry's voice said on the other end. I have something to show you. Her heart raced all the way to the family mansion, headlights slicing through the mist. When she arrived, the iron gate swung open automatically, as if they had been waiting for her. Inside, the grand hall glowed in golden light. Her father was on his knees beside a small boy sleeping on a velvet couch. Anya froze. The boy's skin was pale, his curls dark, his features hauntingly familiar. Her breath caught. Who is he? Dmitry looked up slowly. He was found at the edge of our northern forest. No one knows how he got there. But when I saw his face, his voice broke. I knew. Anya stepped closer, trembling. Her eyes filled with tears as she brushed a lock of hair from the boy's forehead. Something inside her stirred, an ache, a whisper, a mother's recognition. Her voice trembled. Father, is it possible? Dmitry placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Sometimes the truth returns when we least deserve it. Anya sank to her knees beside the boy, whispering, "Leo." The child stirred slightly, his lips parting as if to answer. And though he was asleep, one word escaped him, soft, faint, but clear. "Mama." Anya gasped, her heart shattering. She looked at her father through tears. "He called me Mama." Dimitri's eyes gleamed with both awe and fear. "Then we will know for certain," he said gravely. "Prepare the doctor. At dawn, we begin the test." Outside, the storm broke again, but this time, it sounded like destiny knocking. The mansion was silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock. Anya sat beside the boy's bed, trembling. The faint morning light crept across his wrist, and there it was. A small, crescent-shaped birthmark. Her hand flew to her mouth. No, it can't be. But every beat of her heart screamed the truth. The same birthmark she remembered from the single night she held him. Tears blurred her vision as she reached for his tiny hand. "Leo, my baby." Dimitri stood at the doorway, stunned. "Anya." She turned, eyes wild with emotion. "It's him, father. Look, this mark. I saw it when he was born." Dimitri's stoic face cracked for the first time in decades. He stepped closer, his voice trembling. "We need proof. The world must know before the board, before the press. I'll call the royal doctor, immediately." Anya clutched the sleeping child to her chest, whispering through tears, "I don't need a doctor. I feel it. He's my son." But Dimitri was already on the phone. "Prepare for a DNA test. Absolute discretion. I want the results by dawn." As the boy stirred in her arms, murmuring softly, Anya felt her soul return to life. For the first time in 2 years, she wasn't CEO Anya Volkov, she was mother. The next morning, tension suffocated the mansion. The air was thick, heavy, waiting for destiny to speak. The doctor emerged from the lab, a white envelope trembling in his hands. Dimitri took it, his fingers shaking. He looked at Anya, whose face was streaked with dried tears. "Whatever this says," he whispered, "you'll always be my daughter. But I pray this ends our suffering." He tore open the envelope. Silence. Then, he exhaled, broken. 100% match. Anya gasped. The world blurred as she dropped to her knees, crying out, "Thank you, God. Thank you." Dimitri's eyes filled with tears as he knelt beside her, pulling both her and Leo close. "Our family is whole again." The staff in the hall wept openly. Even the guards bowed their heads. Anya lifted Leo and pressed her forehead to his. "I'll never let anyone hurt you again. Not for money, not for legacy. Never." Outside, church bells rang faintly in the distance, as if heaven itself was celebrating. But fate wasn't finished yet, because miles away, a recovering Larissa had just seen the breaking news. Larissa woke in a hospital bed, surrounded by whispers. Her throat burned. She tried to sit up but pain shot through her body. "Rest," the nurse said gently. "You're lucky to be alive. Your neighbor saved you." Kalina's familiar voice filled the doorway. "Lucky? She's blessed. But Sergei, he ran. No one's seen him." Larissa's eyes widened. "Leo," she croaked. "Where's Leo?" Kalina switched on the TV. The news anchor's voice echoed. "Breaking story, CEO Anya Volkov's long-lost child has been found and identified. The boy, Leo Volkov, was discovered under mysterious circumstances near the Volkov estate." Larissa's heart raced. "He's safe." Kalina nodded slowly. "He's with them. But Sergei, he'll pay for what he did." Larissa reached into her hospital bag and pulled out her old phone. He will, she whispered. Because I have everything. Hours later, she arrived at the Volkov mansion, trembling but determined. Anya met her at the grand entrance, shocked. Who are you? I'm the woman who found your son, Larissa said, voice cracking. And the one whose husband tried to destroy him. She handed the phone to Dmitry. Play this. The room fell silent as Sergei's drunken voice filled the air. I'll poison her before I lose that boy. She can't stop me. He's our ticket to wealth, our golden meal ticket. Anya gasped. Dmitry's face darkened with fury. He turned to his guards. Find this man. Bring him to me, alive. Larissa wept softly. I didn't know he'd go that far. I only wanted the child to live. Anya embraced her. You gave me back my son. You'll never suffer again, Larissa. 3 days later, Sergei was found drunk in a dingy tavern, bragging about how even the Volkovs couldn't touch him. He didn't see the black cars pull up until it was too late. Sergei Ivanov, their deep voice boomed. By order of the Volkov estate, you're under arrest for attempted murder and child trafficking. The bar went silent as he was dragged out, shouting, You'll regret this. She was mine. The trial was swift. The recordings, the poison evidence, and his own confession sealed his fate. The judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom. Sergei Ivanov, you are hereby sentenced to 30 years imprisonment for attempted murder and trafficking of a minor. Your greed and malice have sealed your fate. Larissa sat in the courtroom, trembling, tears streaming. Justice had come, but her heart still ached for what was lost. Outside, Dmitry approached her quietly. You can change the past, Larissa, he said softly, but you saved a legacy. You saved my family. She bowed her head. I only did what any mother would do. He nodded. Then you'll be rewarded as one. Months later, the Volkov mansion brimmed with life and music. The golden gardens glittered beneath the morning sun. Anya stood at the altar, radiant in silk and lace, her hand trembling in Kellan's. Leo stood between them, dressed in a tiny tuxedo, grinning from ear to ear. As the priest declared, you may now kiss the bride, applause thundered through the hall. Dmitry wiped a tear discreetly, whispering, your mother would have been proud. After the ceremony, Dmitry made a public announcement that stunned the nation. For her courage and sacrifice, Larissa Ivanov is hereby awarded a mansion, lifetime income, and a business under Volkov's care. She is family now. Larissa wept as Anya embraced her again. I could never repay you, Anya whispered, but I can make sure you never know sorrow again. Even Galina, the loud neighbor, received a reward, her own shop and a public medal for bravery. See, she shouted to the cameras, grinning. Being nosy can save lives. As the sun dipped low, the family gathered in the garden. Leo ran through the grass, laughing, his scarf fluttering, the same one Anya had left him in. He stopped, turned, and saw Larissa standing nearby. Mommy, he called, running into her arms. Larissa smiled through tears. No, sweetheart, she whispered. She's your mommy now. But Leo shook his head stubbornly. I have two mommies. Anya joined them, wrapping her arms around both. Yes, she said softly. Two mothers. One destiny. The crowd watched as the three embraced, pain turned to peace, secrets turned to legacy. And above them, the Volkov emblem gleamed in gold, no longer a symbol of power, but of love, redemption, and truth. The end.